Yeah, Caribbean Fever 107.5 WBLS original rude boy Dahved, Levy, rocking you from head top to belly button, kneecap to shoes on the ground. You know that, as a matter of fact, the last interviews that Vybz Kartel did internationally, he did right here on Caribbean Fever 107.5 WBLS. And when this case first came about, we spoke to his lawyer, his legal team, and now they are celebrating a victory. We are back with the legal team. Christian Tavares-Finson. Good evening, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
Everything good?
Yeah, man. Everything is good. Thanks for having me again.
Well, listen. Now we spoke at length when you were first hired to take on the scenario with Vybz Kartel. Now, what you know now and what you knew then, based on what the prosecution was saying, it is a vast difference?
You know, if you look back at the original interview that we did, I outlined what my instructions were as far as my client's innocence. And I think that those instructions are consistent with our results so far. You do remember that he was charged with a drug offense originally.
Right.
That has been dropped. You do remember that he was charged for 2 murders. We have successfully defended in 1 so far. So we are really left with 1 outstanding matter before the court. So I think that in light of my instructions, which really are, look, I had nothing to do with any of this. I think we're well ahead of the game.
Now, the verdict that was handed down, or the instructions from the judge last week that told the jury not to find this man guilty and throw out and not allow the evidence to enter into the court. How historical or monumental was that? Was that something that usually happens?
It is a possibility in any case. It is what you really call a directed verdict. You know, where the judge orders the jury to return a formal verdict of not guilty. In the circumstances, what you really have to weigh is whether or not it would be safe to leave what has been presented to the court to the jury. Where the judge forms a view that it would not be safe to leave that evidence to the jury, he would then order the jury to return a verdict of not guilty. So that is what the position was.
So that means that information then was tainted. The judge didn't feel, based on what you were saying all along. We were hearing that they had videos. We were hearing that they had pictures. We were hearing that they had witnesses. But I understand that the witnesses that they were calling, you couldn't even find a witness. We're hearing that there were no pictures, no videos. All these things that were said initially are not there anymore.
All right, that's a lot of information. What you have to appreciate is that there are 2 cases, and you had the original issue of whether or not the witnesses existed, which is the one that we just dealt with. It is clear, based on our information, that the witness, there was some issue as to the identification of the witness. We did, in fact, do some research, and we can find no information that this witness actually existed. There was also the issue of whether or not the police made sufficient checks to locate this witness. And that really was the test, because what they wanted to do was to admit this statement into evidence on the basis that this witness could not be found.
Well, so the witness could not be found.
The judge ruled that the police could not make sufficient checks to locate these witnesses, and as such, statements did not get admitted into evidence.
Wow. Okay, what about the videos and the pictures and all this other stuff?
None of that is true. None of that is true. From the very outset, we indicated that our instructions were consistent. There were no videos. There's no DNA evidence. On the last occasion, we tried to secure bail for him and make a bail application. The police did indeed say that they found a number of phones in his cell that he was using to contact witnesses. That turned out not to be true. You know, and I really would have to say that it's not outrageous for the police, you know, or for him to form the view that there is some sort of conspiracy to keep him in custody.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that now. I'm gonna come straight. I know Mr. Isaiah Lang. I've worked on Sting. I've hosted Sting. Now, I know there was some friction between him and Mr. Lang when it came to him doing Sting before he was incarcerated. But I can't believe on the God's green earth and blue skies that Mr. Lang would go so far for such a long time to do that. But there's a lot of people out there who are saying that he may have stepped on somebody's corn, and this is why this is being done, being kept in prison for nearly 3 years now, no bail, and all of these fictitious and wrongful information being put against him that are not true. If the glove does not fit, you must acquit. Now, do you believe that someone has set Vybz Kartel up? Because this is crazy, and nothing that the police has come forward with has come to fruition?
Well, let me just say this. I will not, you know, make any pronouncements as far as who may be responsible for this. That really is not my role.
Right.
That is something that he will have to address at the appropriate time. But, you know, what I will say is that it really wouldn't be outrageous for him to draw the conclusion that there is some sort of conspiracy against him. There is a situation where each and every time we go to court to try and secure a bail for him, you hear of new evidence. You hear of a video? That is not true. You hear of DNA evidence? That is not true. You hear of eyewitness testimony? That is not true. You hear of telephones being found in his cell? That is not true. So it really is left to him to form the view that something is behind this. And that is something that you'll have to take up with him when he comes out.
When he comes out. Okay, Caribbean Fever 107.5 WBLS. We're speaking to the lawyer of Vybz Kartel. For those of you who may be under a rock, Vybz Kartel has been found not guilty, has been acquitted of the murder charge, but he's still in jail for another murder charge. So, is it an uphill battle? Was this case the tougher case, or the case that is about to come is a tougher case?
We found the view from very early that the matter that we just completed was the more difficult of the two, primarily because of the strength of the evidence. We feel that based on our instructions, the second matter that we're about to embark on, which is in November, we will be successful again. We have no doubt about that. And we are proceeding as planned. We're fully prepared. We have all the documents pertaining to the matter. And we will proceed as I say, as planned.